So the Game Awards have officially wrapped up, and we did get a ton of new game announcements, and in this video we're going to be going over every new PlayStation 4 game that was announced. Now first up, we're going to go over the games that were already confirmed to be PS4 releases, and then we're going to go on to some games that I think will be arriving to the PlayStation 4. Some of the titles had unspecified release platforms, or maybe they were only said to be a PC release for now. I have a strong inclination that a bunch of those games will be arriving to the PlayStation 4 as well, but without any confirmations, I'll leave those at the end of this video. So with that being said, let's get started. And first up is the game that I think has captivated the majority of gamers coming out of the Game Awards, and that is Obsidian's new title in The Outer Worlds. Yes, while Obsidian has been acquired by Microsoft, The Outer Worlds will be their going out party on the PlayStation 4, and it looks to be a fantastic game. This is really a return to form for Obsidian. If you were disappointed by games like Pillars of Eternity, while very good, obviously from a presentation standpoint, that's not what PlayStation gamers are really accustomed to. But The Outer Worlds is definitely a game that's gonna be easy to get into from a technical side of things. The game itself is described as a player-driven story RPG. Keeping with Obsidian tradition, how you approach The Outer Worlds is up to you. Your choices affect not only the way the story develops, but your character build, companion stories, and endgame scenarios. You can be flawed in the game, but in a good way. New to The Outer Worlds is the idea of flaws. A compelling hero is made by flaws that carry with them. The game tracks your experience to find out what you aren't particularly good at as well. The Outer Worlds really looks to be that kind of game that people wanted from Obsidian from a very long time, ever since the release of Fallout New Vegas, and currently, because there's such a negative reception with Fallout, it seems like The Outer Worlds is just gaining a bunch of traction on that end alone. The game looks great, and it looks to be released sometime in 2019. Next up, we have Journey to the Savage Planet. Journey to the Savage Planet is described as an upbeat first-person adventure game set in a bright and colorful alien world filled with weird and wonderful creatures. As an employee of the Kindred Aerospace, which proudly touts its rating as the quote, 4th best interstellar exploration company, you'll be dropped onto an uncharted planet deep in fictitious, faraway corner of the universe. You're tasked with exploring, cataloging alien flora and fauna, and determining if the planet is fit for human habitation. Definitely has some NMS vibes to it, but Journey to the Savage Planet looks to be its own experience as well. Next up, we got the confirmation of a game that we already kinda knew about, and that was Far Cry New Dawn. Now, we know that Far Cry New Dawn will be a follow-up to Far Cry 5, and it has you dive into a transformed, vibrant post-apocalyptic Hope County, Montana, 17 years after a global nuclear catastrophe. You join fellow survivors and lead the fight against the dangerous new threat in the Highwaymen and their ruthless leaders, the Twins, as they seek to take over the last remaining resources. Now, Far Cry New Dawn can definitely be seen as a standalone expansion. It's actually being released at a budget price point. It won't be $59.99, rather it'll be $39.99, so the comparisons to a game like Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon can definitely be there. However, it looks to be more expansive than that, but really looks to be building upon Far Cry 5 and even being a sequel to that. I don't know if we're ready for more Far Cry at this point. FC5 just released, but given the fact that it is priced accordingly, this will be something to check out. It's coming to the PlayStation 4 February of next year. Next up, one of the most iconic indie games is getting its definitive version with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe Edition. The Stanley Parable is a first-person exploration game. It was received very, very well, and it was a very interesting game. However, there definitely could have been more depth to the game, and that's what the developers are touting with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. The description of the game reads, "From the liars who brought you the award-winning indie game The Stanley Parable comes the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, an expansion to the original game with more content, more endings, more whimsical adventures of the two best friends Stanley and the narrator." The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe looks to be coming to the PlayStation 4 sometime in 2019. Next up is another game that was heavily teased prior to the Game Awards, but now we got the official confirmation building upon the success of the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy, and now we got a great kart racer on the PlayStation 4. Crash is back in the driver's seat. Get ready to go full throttle with Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel. It's set to be the authentic CTR experience, now fully remastered and revved up to the max. It's got the original game modes, characters, tracks, power-ups, weapons, and controls, and now you can race online with friends and crash the competition with online leaderboards. Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled is hitting the PlayStation 4 on June 21st. Next up, we have a very interesting game in the Pathless, and this game is actually coming from the creators of Abzu, a very artistic game, a very well-presented game, and the Pathless is said to be a mythic adventure of an archer and an eagle in a vast forest. You become the hunter, a master of archery who travels to a mystical island to dispel a curse of darkness that grips the world. Forge a connection with your eagle companion as you hunt corrupted spirits, but be careful to not become the hunted yourself. I expect another very artistic and very well-presented game. The presentation should be on point if Abzu is anything thing to go by, and we do know the Pathless will be hitting the PS4. Next up, the Stranger Things is getting its own PS4 game with Stranger Things 3, the game. Now, from a technical standpoint, is Stranger Things 3, the game, anything to write home about? No, but it does look like a very fun co-op beat-em-up, and it's based on the 3rd season of Stranger Things. The trailer showed off some gameplay, and it looks to be a lot of arcade fun. While not the biggest title without a doubt at the Game Awards, considering the IP it's based upon, it will be something that resonates with a lot of gamers. And the final game that we know is absolutely confirmed for the PlayStation 4 is, of course, Mortal Kombat 11, and Mortal Kombat is now back and better than ever in the next evolution of this iconic franchise. Mortal Kombat 11 will feature an all-new custom character variations, giving you unprecedented control to customize the fighters and make them your own. There's a new graphics engine showcasing every skull-shattering, eye-popping moment, as it brings you so close to the fight you can almost feel it. It's also featuring a new roster and returning classic fighters. Mortal Kombat's best in classic cinematic story mode continues the epic saga over 25 years in the making. Again, Mortal Kombat 11 will be coming to the PlayStation 4, another game that was heavily teased prior to the Game Awards, but exciting to see it be officially announced. Now let's move on to the games. While not confirmed for the PlayStation 4, I have a strong indication that they will be coming to the PS4. First up, we have Scavengers. Scavengers is set in a not-so-distant future. A cataclysmic event has led to a new ice age, and a vast, frozen wasteland awaits exploration. The best chance of overcoming the challenges of this post-apocalyptic world is by working together. Faced with extreme weather and limited resources, hostile inhabitants and opposing players, explorers must team up to complete objectives, improve their gear, weapons, and tools, and ensure the survival of the human race. Scavengers is described as a survival shooter that combines cooperation and competition, and looks to be a pretty interesting game. Again, not officially confirmed for PlayStation 4. We actually didn't get any platforms for it, but I do imagine it'll be hitting the PS4 or some sort of future PlayStation platform. Next up, we had a pretty surprising announcement in that Hello Games, the guys that brought you No Man's Sky, are creating a completely different experience in the Last Campfire. Now, the Last Campfire has already been listed on Steam. We don't know if a PlayStation 4 version of the title is coming yet. However, given that Hello Games released NMS on PS4, I imagine that this game will be coming to the PlayStation 4 at some point as well. Now, don't get it twisted. While Hello Games is working on this title, that doesn't mean that work on No Man's Sky is subsidizing. This is a much smaller game, and specifically, it's a story of a lost ember trapped in a puzzling place searching for meaning and a way home. It's described to be a unique tale from Hello Games and the creative minds behind Lost Wind. Again, I imagine at some point this game will be coming to the PlayStation 4. We know it's coming to PC, but this looks to be a pretty interesting game as well. Next up is a game that I highly doubt will be coming to the PlayStation 4, but it should be coming to the PlayStation 5, and that is a new Dragon Age game in Dragon Age: The Dreadwolf Rises. Now, all we got was a little teaser trailer for the game, but definitely points to the fact that this game is a direct sequel to Dragon Age Inquisition. And while we didn't get a lot of specific details on the Dreadwolf Rises outside of, well, the Dreadwolf Rises, quote, while we won't be sharing any details for now, I can tell you we have been building a new team around a core of Dragon Age veterans, people I've worked with on Dragon Age, Jade Empire, and some of whom I've worked with since the Baldur's Gate days. That goes back a very long time. So I think, initially speaking, the talent that's working on this game, there's a lot of potential here, and I could foresee with Dragon Age: The Dreadwolf Rises, this is the game that reminds us how talented BioWare truly is, because it has kind of been forgotten with their recent games. Still, I also expect that we won't be seeing this game for a very, very long time. The original leak pointed towards a 2021 release, and I hope that isn't the case. Hopefully, we'll at least get it by like 2020, but at this point, it's kind of hard to get excited about the game since we know it's so far out. And lastly, we also have Pathless. Now, Pathless is coming from the same guys that brought you Ark Survival Evolved. That game, of course, released on the PlayStation 4. However, it was promoted as an early access title, so the PC has its early access program on Steam. Xbox obviously has game preview. The PlayStation 4 only takes in officially completed games, so it's not going to have a game preview program, but I imagine that at some point, considering it is coming to X1, considering that Ark did come to the PS4, it'll come to the PlayStation 4 when it's a finished product. And Pathless is described as the ultimate survival MMO of unprecedented scale with 40,000 plus simultaneous players in the same world. You join an endless adventure of piracy, sailing, exploration, and combat, role-playing, and progression. There's settlement and civilization building in one of the largest game worlds ever. Explore, build, and conquer. Right away when we saw some gameplay of Pathless, it was hard not to make the Sea of Thieves comparison, but it looks to have a ton of depth to it, with over 700 unique land masses across 45,000 square kilometers with thousands of discovery zones. And that looks to be just just from the get-go, imagine what this game could turn into. Now, Ark was a kind of controversial experience. We'll see how Atlas turns out. There's a lot of potential here. Again, it's coming to PC next week in early access, Xbox One game preview in 2019, and I imagine when it is completed, it will hit the PlayStation 4 as well. So that's gonna conclude this video. Again, a ton of new game announcements coming out of the Game Awards. Kinda disappointed we didn't see Borderlands 3 since I was so excited for that, but I imagine we will see that rather soon. But considering we saw games like Far Cry New Dawn, Journey to the Savage Planet, Outer World, there were a lot of high quality games at the show. That's gonna conclude this video. Definitely sound off with your thoughts and what your favorite games coming out of the Game Awards were. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.